ailes.
Peu importe d'où vous venez,
Beauport, Nouveau-Brunswick,
Rimouski,
Île-d'Orléans,
Cap-Rouge,
Sainte-Marie-de-Beauce,
Chicoutimi.
chez Porsche Québec, il n'y a pas de différence.
Bonsoir tout le monde, good evening and a very warm welcome to the penultimate round of Season 4 of the EGT3 Challenge here on the EGT Canada Facebook page and also the YouTube channel. My name's Alex Culture. You actually get to see me for the first time and I'm pleased to have alongside me David Merci. David, good evening.
Thank you very much, Alex. That's my pleasure to be here tonight.
So firstly, a big thank you to our partners of the EGT3 Challenge, Next Level Racing and the Centre Porsche Quebec, and of course Red Bull Canada, who have jumped on board with some fantastic prizes for the Canadian contingent, where we're going to be looking at the racing for Split 1 tonight. So we've got the pros and we've got the silver classes. But David, the track we've got tonight is a home track for me. It's the home of British Motorsport. It's Silverstone. You know, the best part of nearly 5.9 kilometres. We've got some of the best within the EGT Canada community going up against each other. You know, looking at the standings, Jonathan Boivin is leading the way ahead of Ismail Aprek, who earlier on this season decided, well, actually informed us all by the Discord, which is a bit disappointing for a few people, but Kevin Hessin is going to be in an opportunity with a chance at the championship with 2 rounds to go. You know, we've got tonight's round, and then in 2 weeks' time we head to Indianapolis, the Brickyard, for the final round of the championship. Things are looking really good, but then, you know, going to silver, we're going to have just as interesting a competition where, you know, you've got the likes of Jean-Luc Marchand, who's leading by just a single point ahead of Mathieu Prudhomme and Danick Vallée going into.
That's going to be quite interesting to see the battle between those 3 pilots. Like you said, only 1 point difference between the first and second, and no difference between the second and third. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so 3 of the drivers in the respective classes will be running with the respective balance for performance adjustment that we've run all season. So a win in either class means you pick up 30 kilos of ballast. You won't have that doubled or trebled over the course of the season. So Jonathan Boivin is going to be running with the full 30 kilos like he has done since he won back at Hungaroring, which was round 3. Watkins Glen, he won as well. So third time's a charm for Jonathan Boivin. Well, if he's done it with 30 kilos of ballast at 2 circuits, I'm sure he can do it again. Kevin Hessin is going to be running with the 20 kilos of ballast, and then Patrick Fournier, who had a difficult start to the season at Kyalami. The Porsche got speared off coming out of Crowthorns in the opening lap of the race itself, so he DNF'd on the spot. Jean-Luc Marchand is going to be running with the full 30 kilos of ballast, and then it's going to be Jonathan Boutry, who was second last time at Watkins Glen, and then Jeremy Schneider, who pulled off some of the best moves of the season so far. He's, you know, he picked up P3, currently 7th in the championship, is going to be running with 10 kilos. And this balance of performance, David, really gives an equalizer for the rest of the field, doesn't it?
I think it does. And one thing you mentioned that I have to mention it is that you were talking about Boivin running with 30 kilograms, and he's actually running in the practice is in 5th position and only a half a second from the leader. And we've seen that previously. He can definitely take the pole position even with the 30 kilos. So I'm quite interested in seeing that tonight, see if he can do it tonight at the Silverstone, because we know he's been doing that in the past. But when we look at the drivers in front of him, Landry, Madar, Dubé, Bélanger, those are quite good, quite excellent pilots, I should say. So can he step up and take the lead tonight? We'll see.
Well, there is the circuit itself. It was the host of the first ever inaugurated Formula One race back in 1950. It has seen a lot of action over the past 7+ decades. Marc-Antoine Landry, quickest in free practice with a 1 minute 57.7 second lap time, but the flag has gone up, the green flag that is, because qualifying is now getting underway. 20 minutes to decide our full grid for tonight's festivities, and looking at the live timing, which you can find at pitwall.live/timing/EGT-Canada challenge. We now go trackside, and there is Adrien Bourdon in the SOP Esports number 54 Bentley, followed by Mathieu Prudhomme Stéphane Thibodeau with the Candy Cane Honda is out there, the number 33 car, as they're all going to circulate on track. So what we're going to do very shortly, once Adrien Bourdon gets across the start-finish line, it's not the traditional start at where the wing complex is. We're actually going to be starting coming out of Luffield and Woodcote. There's Mathieu Prudhomme, the 166, doing a very, very good job so far. One of the more eclectic liveries that we have here on the EGT3 Challenge. Looks like one of the Audis behind it could be either Danny Queller, but there is the Candy Cane Honda. It's been the running gag so far this season, but we do have a nice little bit of the Castrol livery on the Lexus RCF GT3, which looks to be, that is the number 14. That is the current silver class leader, Jean-Luc Marchand, as they're making their way through the loop.
Talking about Castrol. Earlier tonight we were talking about the other car that looks like a candy, and it does remind me as the Golf colors. So we were talking about Castrol. We could refer that at this car as the Golf one as well.
Yeah, we could do. We could actually refer that to, like, say, the old Lancia Delta HF Integrales from the old days in the 1990s of the World Rally Championship. There's David Boulanger. There's a lot of drivers now starting to get some temperature into the tyres, weaving from side to side as they're going to be making their way down the Wellington Straight into the very hard braking zone. Oh, right, someone's had a bit of an exit stage left. That was one of the Hondas. Not too sure who that might have been, but there's Patrick Fournier from Team GTCQ. Lovely looking livery on that Porsche, especially with the wheels colour matching the body colour of the car. So let's keep with Patrick. Actually, let's see if we can ride on board with the number 3 Porsche as he makes his way down. So we're going to give you a bit of a description of the hot lap here at Silverstone as part of this qualifying session. Sébastien Lacasse has set the fastest out lap of anybody, but we're going to really ramp up the pace. So let's go on board with Patrick Fournier if we can, from the driver's side of things, as he comes out of Luffield through the right-hander here at Woodcote. And turn 1 is going to be the infamous fast right-hand sweeper here at Copse Corner. So Patrick's going to turn the car in, kiss the apex, and now one of the fastest complex in world's motorsport. Into the left here at Maggots, not lifting at 5th gear. Next part is going to be Beckett, so there is going to be some deceleration down to 4th gear, down to 3rd as he's going to come out of Chapel Curve, and then head down the Hangar Straight, which is going to be a pretty good run. If you've got the slipstream behind somebody else, you're going to get a good run coming into the next right-hander, coming into Stowe Corner. So he's in 6th gear, down to 3rd, touches the apex, nice and neat and tidy from the Porsche, runs a little bit wide coming through into Vale. Now it's the flick-flack chicane in towards Club, so into the left, into the right, let the car sweep wide, and then sweep it into Club Corner, now down at the Hamilton Straight, and into another fast right-hander here at Abbey. So 5th gear, turns it in, a little bit of a lift there from Patrick, as he goes into Farm Curve, then into Village, which is going to be a hard braking zone, down to 2nd gear, and then into the loop, and then we'll start to apply the power. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th as he goes through Aintree, down the Wellington Straight, accelerating underneath the bridge, now hard on the brakes, down into 2nd gear, here into Brooklands, using as much of the curb as possible, swinging the car to the left, to the right, through Luffield, out of Woodcote, and that's a hot lap here at Silverstone. Marc-Antoine Landry has set the fastest lap so far, 1 minute 57.695, but what does Patrick Fournier have in the pocket? Goes P2, a 10th and a half behind.
What an amazing track. I really like Silverstone. It does offer a good balance of speed and cornering, so that's one of the best track in my opinion to perform this kind of race. 60 minutes race, that's going to be interesting. You know, some of the track, they do offer a lot of cornering but do not have high speed straight, which is not the case in here. We have a good balance in my opinion. You mentioned that it's your home track. How do you find a balance at this track?
you've got to have that really good setup with regards to the handling characteristics of the car. As Adrien Bourdon just found out, that was not the way to exit the circuit off on the runoff area. But you've got to have that real good purchase of, you want to make sure that you minimise rear wheel spin, especially coming out of corners. And when you're going through, like we're seeing Laurence Doubet go through into Copse Corner, you've got to really know when you can turn that car in and rotate it around the corner. If you have the slightest bit of self-doubt, or you're not 100% convinced with the setup, because these drivers coming into this round, it's round 5 out of 6, there are points on the board to be taken. Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, another example of how the car and the driver have to be as one. Because if you haven't got that wonderful setup between the two, you're really going to struggle.
And do you think there is let's say, a favorite car for this particular track? Because we know that some tracks, they are going to give the advantage to that brand or this other brand. And what about on this one, on Silverstone? We can see that the Porsche might be good on this track, but I'm seeing the Bentley 3 and 4th position right now. So is there a best car for tonight's race?
I think it's going to be well, when we've got 3 Bentleys in the top 7, with Kevin Hassan rounding out the top 7. He's about half a second off, but the Lamborghini is another car that really cannot be underestimated. 5.2 litre naturally aspirated mid-mounted V10 engine. Of course, yeah, it's got the same underpinnings as the Audi, but the Lamborghini and the Audi can both be quite competitive. But I think that the Lamborghini's just got the edge on the Audi. But the Porsche, for me, I think would be the best balance.
Is it because of the straight, or it's because it's having a... Yeah, go ahead.
It's mainly because of the handling characteristics, where it's a rear-engined rear-wheel drive car as opposed to a mid-engined rear-wheel drive car. The characteristic of the Porsche is that you're going to get that traction out of those corners, but it's also going to be a lot more settled at the back end. But if you just overstep that limit, you're going to have a real tough time. I think Mercedes...
We've seen that in the past, yeah.
we have indeed, and we have over the course of not just this season, but seasons in past, David. But at the moment, just to give everyone a bit of an update, Marc-Antoine Landry, fastest out there so far, and has just improved by 5 1/1000ths of a second. Goes in 1 minute 57.670 at the moment in the silver class. Mathieu Prudhomme is leading the way ahead of... it's going to be Jean-François Bilodeau in the number 7 Audi. And Prudhomme, fastest silver, 1 minute 58.740. Bilodeau, half a tenth behind with Adrien Bourdon in the number 54. Bentley, second highest Bentley behind David Boulanger as Mathieu Prudhomme makes his way through Stowe Corner. We're coming towards the halfway point of the qualifying session. Just wondering if Prudhomme is going to improve on this particular occasion, but he's only halfway through the lap. I mean, the McLaren could also be a pretty good weapon around this circuit here, David, because of the fact it's got a lot of torque. It's very, very aerodynamically efficient in the terms of the slippery, curvaceous surface on that car. So that should go well around here, I think.
Actually, I'm looking at the timing right now, and I'm really pleased to see that 3 drivers so far are in the 157, and almost 4 with Bourdon, which is doing in 158.0. So we'll see as we go forward. I guess the timings are going to go down for some other drivers. Oh, here we go. Bourdon is now in the 1.57, and so 4 drivers so far. I'd like to see more of that, and we'll see as we go forward. But a lot of drivers are in the 158.1. Actually, I'm counting 1, 2, and 3 drivers so far, so which would make us up to 7 drivers that can expected to be in the 157. We'll see over time. Still 9 minutes to go. So, and one of the drivers was off track. I missed the number of the car, but it seems
that might have been that was Jean-François Bilodeau, the number 7 car.
Yes, with the Audi.
So for those wondering, you can actually see on the track map if there's a yellow out and it marks a particular car, you know that one is the one that's caused the yellow flag. Michael Formato is P5, so we've got 2 Porsches in the top 5. There's Fournier roaring his way through Copse Corner once again. The gap between him and Marc-Antoine Landry is expanded by about, Landry actually was better by 25 thousandths of a second. Jonathan Boivin, however, is nearly 6/10 of a second off of Landry's electric pace around here at Silverstone.
Which is quite a lot, isn't it?
It is. I mean, especially with the kind of engine that Honda has in it. You know, up until this point, I had a feeling that the Honda might struggle, and especially with 30 kilos of ballast on it. General de Guise has just gone up to 19th overall, which effectively puts him 13th in the Pro class. The only driver in this field that is actually running, well, along with Michael Michaud, the 497, that are running the BMW M4 GT3s. As Boulanger comes out of, that will be Stowe, and is now heading towards Abbey. Fast right-hander here for the number 22. Boulanger currently just under 2/10 off of pole position. But what's more impressive, even with this weighty car here, David, he's not that far behind Fournier.
One thing that I find interesting to compare is that when I look at the silver actual position during this qualifying session, and I look at the drivers' standings over the season, only Prudhomme is making the top 5 right now. When we look at Jean-Luc Marchand, who is leading the drivers' standing, he is not in the top 3 right now. Same thing for Danik Valley. So those drivers who are in the top of the driver standing are not making it in the top 5 right now. So I'm surprised to see that.
Yeah, well, we had a quick discussion about Danik Valley, didn't we? That he was hoping he was going to make sure that he did not run out of fuel. He doesn't want to have the same thing happen to him that Marc-Antoine Landry had at the final lap coming out of Ingwe at Kyalami. But Landry making his way back into Brooklands now. His fastest lap so far this session was 6.5 minutes to go, 1 minute 57.670. The 711 Zeus Motorsports Lamborghini Huracan GT3 comes out of Luffield, roars its way through Woodcote. Now, is this going to be an improvement in qualifying? Not quite, 1 minute 58.495, but I think that Marc-Antoine Landry is very much on a mission here to get his first pole position of the season here, David.
So far, so good. It does look good for him tonight.
Not been an easy session for the candy cane Honda of Stéphane Thibodeau in the number 33 car, currently sitting 22nd overall, but that will put him, that's going to be 9th in class. Stéphane currently, in terms of the championship standings, is just going to have a look at the moment where he is.
He is at the 6th position in the driver's standing. So not that bad, with 39 points. That's quite good.
Yep, his best result so far, 3rd place at the opening round at Kyalami. He took, but hang on a second, I'm just hearing that Monsieur Patrick Fournier is on the move in the number 3 GTCQ Porsche. Here we go, right, out of Woodcote comes the number 3 Porsche. Is it going to be a new stamp? 1 minute 57.652, and that's 18 thousandths quicker than Marc-Antoine Landry.
Nice.
Oh, la, la.
And he did improve at I think it was 2/10 of a second from his last best time. That's incredible.
That is, yeah, because he was 0.175 behind Landry, and he's just improved by just 1/7 shy of 2/10 of a second. I don't think this might be, that's a bit of a bit of a messy entry into Luffield there for Marc-Antoine Landry on that particular occasion. No improvement on this time. Yeah, 1 minute 58.7. He was slower than the previous lap, so he's got to really hustle that Lamborghini, and it looks to be a bit out of shape.
Look at this rear end that was sliding, so I don't think it's going to offer him a very good timing for that.
No, because he brought out the yellow flag, and he's just returned to garage as well. The back end was all over the place in the Lamborghini. So Jeremy Schneider, currently second in the in the silver class, doesn't improve. Well, he's actually making his way through Abbey into Farm Curve. The McLaren 720S GT3, 4 litre, twin turbo V8. The M840 is the engine designation for this car. Produces around about 700 pounds-feet of torque as he makes his way onto the Wellington Straight out of Aintree. Another yellow flag has been brought out onto the circuit, but has quickly retracted, so whoever that was has just managed to return to garage. So Jeremy Schneider, he's just over a tenth. He's about a tenth and a bit off of Mathieu Prudhomme. So it's McLaren 1-2 at the moment in the silver class, and Schneider makes his way through into Woodcote. I'm going to see if this is a kind of an improvement for the number 67. Not on that particular occasion, but he was just over 3/10 off. We did have a brief yellow flag. We've got just 2 3/4 minutes to go. Landry has really got to bring his A game to beat Patrick Fournier's time, because it's literally minuscule, isn't it, David?
Yeah, it is. Actually, like you mentioned, 16 of 1,000. That's not a lot, and he can do that. Will he be able within 2 minutes remaining on this qualifying session? Let's see. But what a good driving lessons from Fournier tonight. 157.6, and he made that more than once, so that is incredible. And the fun fact is that he only has the second sector as the fastest one, so the first and the third belongs to Landry, so he can do that for sure.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, 33.497 in the final sector. It was where it was the middle sector that Patrick made all that time up. Adrien Bourdon trying to improve. He's only 2 thousandths behind David Boulanger. He's going to come out of Club Corner, now go into Abbey. Minute and a half remaining. Fournier has decided to call it a day and leave it in the pits. And Boivin has just jumped up into 7th. He was 10th at one point, so his pace has improved as the circuit has evolved. And only 0.365 seconds off of Patrick Fournier's time as we stay with Marc-Antoine Landry, making his way out of Chapel, down the Hangar Straight into Stowe Corner. The Hangar Straight where Kimi Räikkönen back in 2014, whilst driving for Ferrari, had a massive 47G impact. I know I was in the media centre when that all happened, and there was a massive gasp from all the journalists and all the broadcast crews that particular day in qualifying. There has been another yellow flag. I think that might have been the 67, Jeremy Schneider. But Marc-Antoine Landry making his way out of Club Corner, down the Hamilton Straights. Wonderful roar of that 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 as he flings it into Abbey, into now Farm, the left-hander. So we're going to get the picture-in-picture. So the trackside shot on your bottom right, the inside cockpit shot on your left, through into the loop. And he's probably going to get another lap after this one, because, well, he won't get another lap because the time is about hit 0. So this is the last attempt that Marc-Antoine Landry will have in order to steal pole position. Looks like he is improving at the moment. Down into Brooklands for what's going to be the 711's final attempt at a flying lap here, through into Luffield. Now it's about applying the power correctly and then just go for it. Just launch the car forward through Woodcote, pull as close to the right hand side wall as you dare. Out of the final corner, is it going to be an improvement? Yes, it is. 1 minute 57.507 by nearly a tenth and a half. Marc-Antoine Landry on his last flying lap sets pole position. And what's more, Mathieu Prudhomme has taken pole position in the silver class. He actually improved 1 minute 58.350, and he upped the distance between himself and Jeremy Schneider by, that's the best part of, just over 0.3 of a second. But your pole sitter for round 5 overall here is Marc-Antoine Landry with a 1 minute 57.507, and alongside him on the front row it's going to be Patrick Fournier. Laurence Dubé came good in the final part of the qualifying session, putting the number 70 test racing Ferrari 488 GT3 up to 3rd place, pipping both the Bentleys of David Boulanger and Adrien Bourdon. So that's it for qualifying, and the build up to the race continues very shortly. We'll be right back.
Olivier Sirois, Porsche Québec. Venez rouler pour vrai avec moi au volant d'une Porsche.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Well, David, after a tense, exciting, dramatic qualifying session at Silverstone, Marc-Antoine Landry secures his first pole position of the season. And in the silver
an
class,
amazing last lap from him.
I know.
Actually, Fournier was on top, and then he came out of nowhere on his last lap, and boom, almost 1.110, 210, I don't remind exactly. But what an amazing lap. He did it all in the last lap. It's amazing.
I think that maybe if I can probably feel my ears burning if Patrick's saying some unbroadcastable words right now, because like literally he thought he'd done it. He put the Porsche in the pits, and Marc-Antoine just came and just went, you know what, that's beatable, and he proved it. I mean, credence also goes to Mathieu Prudhomme, who picks up the pole position for silver class as well, but even that was very close, because Jeremy Schneider was within 1/10.5, and Prudhomme, within the last couple of minutes of the qualifying session, managed to extend that to 0.3. But you know, we've got a 60-minute race, mandatory pit stop, no fixed pit stop window. I think I'm not gonna throw you under the bus. I'm not gonna ask you for any predictions, because that's not what we do here. We're here to observe, tell you people at home that are watching, and thank you for joining us. But David,
that's an interesting point that you bring there, because I could ask you, what are your predictions? You know, you're used to those guys more than I am, and it seems that some of them are not only good, not only great, but excellent drivers. So if you would have to put names, which one would you pick?
I'm actually gonna pick a couple of names. I would say that Jonathan Boivin has got a shot, but that's dependent on what happens on the first lap, because we all know you can't win going into turn 1, and especially somewhere like here, you know, going through into cops, someone gets forced out wide, ends up in the barriers, their race is done and dusted. I think the two names that I'm going to pick out here, and they are both in the pro class, is that I think we're going to see a really, really good fight between Marc-Antoine Landry, who you now all see on pole position, alongside him. I really, really want to see Patrick Fournier pick up his first win. So these two are really going to be the ones to watch. It's going to be a bit not too dissimilar from when we had Kyle Army. We had Ismail Abrec versus Jonathan Boivin, and they were literally bumper to bumper the whole way through the race. Laurence Dubé could be an outside threat here on P3. David Boulanger, Adrien Bourdon, Guillaume Mador. Jonathan Boivin, with the full 30 kilos of ballast, starts on the inside of row number 7. He's got
Am I right to say that Ismaël Labrec is not there tonight? I don't see him in the entry list.
No. Well, he mentioned
that's
on
unfortunate.
the. Yeah, it is a shame because I was really looking forward to the title fight between him and Jonathan Boivin. However, it's like the old. You remember the old Street Fighter games, David? Here comes a new challenger, and we've got one. But unfortunately, that driver at the moment is Kevin Racine, who's starting down in 9th position. But we know that the Bentley's strong around here. Michael Michaud could also be a threat. I mean, he's the highest the top 10 are all covered, covering in the pro class. I mean, we've got Michael Fornato, who's alongside Jonathan Boivin, but we've got a Woking 1-2 in terms of the qualifying for the silver class. Mathieu Prudhomme and Jeremy Schneider, who are on row 6. We've then got the 988 of Carl Allary, another McLaren in there. So 3 of the 5 McLarens. Then we've got Jean-François Bilodeau, who's in the silver class, starting 14th. Gabriel Lafreniere in the number 16, I think, is a new entrant for the next couple of the last 2 rounds. So welcome on to Gabriel to join us. Christian Dubé starts 16th ahead of Johan Morancy, who started well at the beginning of the season. Hasn't had the run of luck in the 194 Porsche. Vincent General de Guise in the other BMW, the number 74, starts 18th ahead of Jonathan Baudry. Then we've got Danick Vellet in 20th position. Sébastien Lacasse, Serge Martin, Jean-Luc Marchand, the silver championship leader, starting all the way down in 23rd position. Stéphane Thibodeau, 24th. Max Baudry in 25th. François Lapointe, who was the Lexus that was the Honda that went off earlier on at the beginning of qualifying. Jacques Parent, Mathieu Gagnon, and David Boucher round out the 29 strong grid. And obviously, David, you're working with Guy Lavoie on say the ETCR, the ETCX, and of course we've got the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Quebec carrying on as well. Really looking forward to seeing how those championships develop as they head towards their final rounds. But tonight's something special, isn't it?
Actually, I like those series, especially the Porsche one. I like those cars, but the championship is not won already, so everything is possible. So we'll see next Thursday how it goes. But I invite you, all of your spectators who are watching this show tonight, to join us on Thursday night to see what's happening. Some of the drivers are here tonight. For example, Lafreniere is one of them. Vallée is another one. Boivin as well. So some of the drivers are doing more than one championship, and it's really fun for me tonight to see them in the GT3 challenge. So we'll see how it goes tonight as they have started the warm-up lap. Maybe just a quick recap for the ones for those people who are joining us for the first time. So we started with a 20-minute qualifying session, and now is the warm-up lap for the 60 minutes race that is about to start as the cars are going to cross the start line.
Yep, we've got a full formation lap, folks, because they're just heading through Stowe Corner. Drivers will be weaving from side to side, getting some temperature in the tyres. They'll also be applying the brakes and then also lighting up the rear tyres, as you're just seeing with Laurence Dubé as he makes his way out of Vale and into Club Corner. And
that's one important fact that you just mentioned, that about the rear part of the car and the brakes. We often refer as the warm-up lap to warm up the tires, but not only the tires. It's quite important to warm up the brakes as well, because when you start a race and you enter the first corner, you want to have some brakes that are ready on your car. So that's quite important to do both. Yes, the tires, but also the brakes.
Indeed, because as Tom Christensen, the Mr. Le Mans himself, 9-time winners of the 24 Heures du Mans, says that whatever you do, you need to have your weapons sharp. And the thing is, going into Copse Corner, you are not braking. You're lifting off the throttle. But you've got to be very, very mindful about your competitors. So the circuit itself, which is the Arena Grand Prix circuit, which has been used since 2011, 5.891 kilometers, 3.661 miles, 18 turns in total. And it has hosted the GT World Challenge Europe from 2013 to 2019. And it's also hosted the likes of the FIA World Endurance Championship, the European Le Mans Series, amongst others. But Landry and Fournier are on the front row. And there you've got your two protagonists at the front of the grid in silver, Prudhomme and Schneider. 60 minutes, a mandatory pit stop. You have to take on at least 1 litre of fuel. You do not have to take tyres because we have found that over the course of the season, the tyres are good for more than 60 minutes. But with this kind of circuit, it's fast, there's a lot of lateral sideways movement, especially through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. The field now makes its way through Brooklands, now into Luffield. The red lights are ready to go out and the green flag is being set to be waved. So Marc-Antoine Landry and Patrick Fournier are on the front row as they now slowly build. The revs will increase when the lights go out and we will be racing for round 5 of season 4 of the EGT Canada EGT3 Challenge here at the home of British Motorsport, Silverstone. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, hold yourself, brace yourselves. It's going to be a roller coaster ride here in Northamptonshire as we wait with bated breath. The red lights are soon to change. We are green and we are underway, and a good start by Landry as Fournier looks to pull alongside going into Copse Corner. It's side by side between Boulanger, who might have got the run through Copse Corner. He's still side by side with Dubé as they go into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel for the first time. Boulanger's got through on Dubé, and look at Boivin, and he's just had a tag with Mador. Boivin is off the circuit. Big drama in the opening few corners. Boivin was,
and we mentioned that only a few minutes ago that it might happen, and there it is.
Yeah. So Boivin is going to have to do a recovery drive. Well, he actually got away with that one because he's side by side with Michael Formato as they go through into Stoke Corner. And what's even more interesting, I think the fact that David Boulanger is with the top two. So Landry and Fournier did not get away as quickly as they thought. Dubé might be battling away with Mador at the moment, and there is David Boulanger. He's right with Patrick Fournier as they come through out of Club Corner down the Hamilton Straight. So Landry leads, Fournier second, Boulanger third, Dubé, Mador, Racine, Bourdon, Boivin still is in 8th position despite that hairy moment going into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Formato and Michaud ran at the top 10 in the pro class. Prudhomme and Schneider are within a 10th and a half of each other. And there is Boivin. He's right with Adrien Bourdon. That was a hell of a save there from our current championship leader as he's going to go for the move. And is it going to be a right hand? Is it going to be a left-hander? Yep, that is. And Boivin is through on Bourdon for that position. But again, it's a tag from behind. The Honda is not having a good time out there at the moment as they go down the Wellington Straight. Bourdon flashing the lights.
It's worth to mention that Mador is up 1 position. He's now in the 4th position, so he's fighting to go directly on the top 3 for now, but he's in 4th position trying to fight for the 3rd.
And Bourdon, Bourdon has just pitted, so maybe some damage has been sustained by the Bentley. I knew this track would really put the cat amongst the proverbial pigeons here, David, and that's exactly what we got. And still, Jonathan Boivin is trying to hustle that Honda forwards, but Kevin Racine is not too far ahead of him, about the best of nearly a second. On the right hand side of your screen you can see Michaud is ahead of Formato. He's got Prudhomme breathing down the back end of the Porsche at the moment. Schneider has been passed because that's Allary, Carl Allary that's got ahead, so we've now got a top 3 spread, I think, in the... Allary is one of the pro drivers, my apologies there, but still to have 3 McLarens very close to each other. But I don't think that's what Jeremy Schneider wanted to see, that now Mathieu Prudhomme's got Carl Allary in between the pair of them, so you got McLaren meat and a McLaren sandwich.
looking at Fournier in second position, and he's trying to close the gap with Landry. He's now, 3/10 of a second of the first position. So I think we might have a battle between those two drivers tonight, Landry and Fournier. As you mentioned at the beginning of the race, those drivers are ready to be looked at tonight because two excellent drivers, and for now, 4/10 of a second between those two.
Yep, and now coming through to complete lap number 2 as Landry just trying to start to eke away an initial lead ahead of Patrick Fournier as they go through into Luffield. A bit tighter on the apex from Landry in comparison with Fournier. We ride on board with the number 3 Team GTCQ Porsche 911 GT3 as they come out of Woodcote Corner. So close to the wall was Patrick Fournier on that particular occasion. Fournier sets the fastest lap of the race. No, Mador does in the Audi, the 111 Audi, that is now 1.4 seconds behind David Boulanger, who rounds out the top 3, 1 minute 59.190. And just to think, David, in the first 4.25 minutes, I think we've had more requirements of a standby defibrillator by both right-hand sides of our respective chairs, would you say? But yeah, Schneider's still keeping pace with Allery, but also got Lafreniere in the number 16 Bentley. Gabriel trying to close. And then we've got also Jean-Francois Biloudot. I'm just wondering how is Jean-Luc Marchand getting on at the moment. Now he's currently
he's 19 right now. Yep. Closing the gap with Martin. They are now head to head, I think.
Yeah, Marchand seems to really have some good purchase in that Castrol livery number 14 Lexus RCF GT3, but he's got Sebastien Lacasse not too far behind. The Honda looks to have a little bit of slipstream going down the Hamilton Straight and into Abbey Corner, but a tight apex there from Jean-Luc Marchand as there's contact from behind. That was General de Guise and Lacasse coming together. And, oh, that's not what you want there. Lacasse was right with Jean-Luc Marchand. Unfortunately, General de Guise, I think, was a bit too close to the number 34 Honda, and they both went spinning around. But it's a corner like that, David, that really, you can get a good run on somebody, but then you do find that if you've got someone right up your exhaust pipe or your rear wing, it can get a bit too close to comfort, and just what we saw just then with General de Guise and Sebastien Lacasse, it's one slight touch and it can all go horribly wrong.
As you mentioned earlier, you have to be careful of the other drivers as well. Yes, you do race for your position and your own timing, but when you are as close as they are, as it can get on some of the corners, the slight touch, like you mentioned, can be catastrophic. So you have to be careful about that. And we all see that the drivers are paying attention to that, but sometimes it's just too close and a simple touch and that's done. And it's too late sometimes. Hopefully we won't get that kind of behavior tonight, but sometimes we can see that some drivers are pushing the limit a little bit too far, and they bring other drivers with them as well. So let's not hope for that tonight.
No, what I am seeing is, well, General de Guise and Sebastien Lacasse are a bit further away from each other, as that is Boucher that General de Guise has just gotten past the number 12 Bentley. But the interesting thing that I've just noticed is that Jonathan Boivin is being caught by Michael Michaud in the 497 BMW. And Bourdon has rejoined. Oh, Danick Valet has pitted, and he's just got a stop-go 30 from the software for probably speeding in the pit lane. Which is also
that's bad.
Insult to injury there for Danick, but I don't know if he's actually... I'm just going to have a check to see whether he's still circulating.
It seems to me that it's quite early in the race to...
oh, he's out of the race. He's out of the race, I'm afraid.
No way.
He's in the pit lane. So has Danick Valet come into grief because that car is stationary. But there we see the battle between Michael Michaud and Jonathan Boivin for P7, so BMW against Honda. You can see how close that the 497 running in the old Turner Motorsport colours is really closing, and Boivin's really struggling at this circuit, and I think you probably kind of guessed that. But when we go to Indianapolis in 2 weeks' time on November 22nd, that might be a bit more in his favour, because the car will handle really, really well around there. And with 30 kilos of ballast, I think he knew he was going to be exercising damage limitation with how many points he would actually score tonight.
Yeah. But is it because of the 30 kilos ballast, or is it about the setup of the car, or the car cannot handle that much weight added on this particular track? How do you evaluate that?
I think it's with like say the balance of performance, it's always going to put that car that's had that put into there at a significant disadvantage. You know, the fuel consumption is going to be slightly higher, the tyre wear is going to be slightly higher, so Jonathan Boivin is going to compensate for that. And sometimes with these kind of races, are a 60-minute sprint race, but you've got a mandatory pit stop. Jonathan's got to really, really watch how he drives that car, and if things get him... Oh,
look at that.
Le Frenet was very, very close. Was that Gabriel Le Frenet? Yes, it was. Outbraked himself, and that was going into Village. That was a bit of a possible change of underwear moment needed right there for the 988, for the number 16. Now Jeremy Schneider's got the slipstream. He's going to pull to the inside, going to Brooklands, thinks better of it, decides to back out of the move. A very sensible decision there from Jeremy Schneider as they went into Brooklands and now into the right-hander here at Luffield. I mean, you're going to see people, you know, stick their noses up the inside of other cars just to sort of tell them, well, just to let you know I am still here.
That's something that we discuss quite often with Guy. You know, when you look into the mirror and you see someone everywhere, but I mean everywhere. You look at on the side, you see someone. You look on the other side, you still see that guy on the rear. It does add some pressure on your driving, and it will bring some drivers to do some mistakes. And this is what we call the race pressure. And some of the drivers are really good to handle that, but some other are not handling it very well. So this is where you can put the drivers in front of you at test with this exercise. This is exactly what we are seeing right now between Michaud and Boivin. Michaud is everywhere behind Boivin, and we all know that Boivin is really good at managing that kind of pressure, but it's not the case of all drivers.
Oh, very much the case. I think the gap, I'm not too sure if the gap is extended between Boivin and Kevin Racine on that particular occasion. I mean, the gap last time around it is slightly going down. We're going to go to a replay now, and this is the incident between Sébastien Lacasse, so he goes late on the brakes. Oh, that was a hard hit from General de Guise, and Stéphane Thibodeau goes off as well in avoidance, and everyone scatters behind. Oh, yeah, I think, well, Stéphane Thibodeau got away with that one. He just literally threaded the eye of the needle between the pair of them. Oh, and Kevin Racine's had a moment, and so Jonathan Boivin and Michael Michaud are now with the number 223 Bentley. So Racine has come into problems. I think, has he had a moment off track? I'm just going to have a look as they come across the line. Oh, that was right. Racine actually lost nearly a second to Boivin in the middle sector, so that would have been probably, yeah, that would have probably been coming through the second. And look at Boivin, even with 30 kilos, look how close he is to the 223 Bentley, and he's bringing Michaud along for the ride here, David. This is going to be an interesting battle for the next few moments.
Actually, this is exactly why we are watching those races, to see those battles and look at how they are attacking the curves, totally different lines.
Oh, Michaud is looking towards the outside through Stoke Corner, and Boivin just parked the car on the racing line, which is very entitled to do so. And if they keep on battling, Racine is going to get away. very quickly, but he's not getting away. If that Bentley's gone off, has it sustained a little bit of damage that might be affecting the aero? Not 100% sure, but hopefully on the next lap we'll get an indication. I mean, Kevin's final sector in comparison with Jonathan Boivin was slightly quicker, so I don't think there's any damage. I think he just lost a massive amount of time. He lost best part in Italy, just over a tenth and a half in the first sector, and you can see now that Boivin is looking to get through. We have got a yellow flag out on the circuit that's going to be going through into what I would believe is going to be Village, so someone might have not too sure if going to see if
we can see that Racine is having a lot more acceleration, actually a lot more. I shouldn't say that. He does have a bit more acceleration, but Boivin is always catching up in the curves, so we'll see how it ends up between those three drivers. But so far Boivin is doing good considering the 30 kilograms of ballast.
Yep, which still keeps him in 7th position at the moment. At the front of the field, Marc-Antoine Landry has extended his lead over Patrick Fournier to just over 1.35 seconds. David Boulanger rounds out the top 3 in pro, with Guillaume Mador, Laurence Dubé running at the top 5. Mathieu Prudhomme leading the way in the silver class, ahead of Jeremy Schneider, Jean-François Bilodeau, Jonathan Baudry, and a good run from Johan Morsi in the 194 Porsche as coming out into the outer chapel curve.
Michaud and Boivin.
Michaud could get the side draft here going down the Hanger Straights. He's going to pull to the outside into Stoke Corner. This is going to be a brave move if he tries to pull it off, but Boivin keeps it on the racing line. Michaud keeps it tight to the inside of Stoke Corner. And as you said, he's looking, and he showed his nose to Boivin there, but
he was
not close enough. He's not close enough.
What a lovely battle between those two drivers. I love that.
Great racing respects as well. Just goes to show that Boivin knows that he's going to have pressure, and I'm not too sure if he thought, well, I'm not 100% who's going to be battling with me, but he's getting a great amount of racing respect with Michaud at the moment.
I don't know if you noticed that, but look at how Boivin is using the full width of the track. Actually, I've seen him in real life on a real track, and he's doing exactly the same thing in real life that he's doing in this virtual race, and that's amazing to see how he can handle both the real life and the simulation the same way.
Yeah,
he's using the full track and he's not giving an inch away.
Well, I've just noticed we've got our first lap in the 1:58, the fastest lap of the race. Adrien Bourdon, currently 23rd overall, has put in a couple of laps ago a 1 minute. Oh, and just been informed that Danik Vele has officially DNF'd. But as I was saying, Adrien Bourdon has put in a 1 minute 58.890. Jean-Luc Marchand on the recovery trail just gets past the other. Well, hang on a second. What has happened to Christian Dubé? Has dropped down a few positions down to 22nd, so that's allowed the likes of Stéphane Thibodeau, François Lepoint, and also Max Baudry to move up the order, but Boivin still has got pressure from behind. Michael Michaud is still there, and Kevin Racine is still ahead of them, so it's a three-way scrap. This is for P6 on the road, and Racine is still keeping that Bentley Continental's back end as wide as humanly possible. Boivin trying to do everything he can to get past as we're 17 minutes into this 60-minute race. And Bourdon took a very early pit stop, a very an unusual strategy, David, as Boivin really hustling Kevin Racine at this moment in time whilst he's getting attacked from behind courtesy of Michael Michaud. This is a great battle. This is what you want to see. 3 ultra competitive individuals, all great drivers in their own right, and they're giving us one hell of a show.
And one thing interesting to see is that even if Michaud isn't able to close the gap with Boivin, he is still keeping the same distance. So it gives us a really good show tonight. We do have a 4/10 of a second between Racine and Boivin, and another 3/10 of a second between Boivin and Michaud. So that is really good to see.
Also on the right-hand side of your screen, we've got another battle going on. That's including the number 200 of Michael Formato and also Gabriel Lafreniere as they're heading into what will be Copse Corner, into the right-hander. And Lafreniere just literally, that's going to be a track cut, I think, for the number 16 Bentley. They've got to be careful with these track cuts, but Hassan has just lost out a bit of time there coming out of Chapel, and Boivin's in the slipstream. Even with that 30 kilos of ballast, he's still able to use the momentum. They've got the run down the hanger straight. Michaud looks to the outside. Boivin goes round the outside of Hassan, and this is going to be very close indeed, but the Bentley holds on. Michaud with a send and a half up the inside of Boivin going into Brooklands, and now he's going to, don't tell me you're going to pull it around the outside of Kevin Hassan going through into Woodcote, and Luffield has done it. Michaud with one of the best moves tonight so far. He's got 2 for the price of 1. Boivin and Hassan now have to fall back behind Michaud, but now Michaud goes from the hunter to becoming the hunted because those 2 behind want to get past quickly.
Look at that, what a show tonight. Oh, look at Boivin, he's taking the inside.
Now this is coming out of the loop, and they're going to go through into Aintree. If Boivin gets a good run on Kevin Hassan through Aintree and down the Wellington Straight in towards Brooklands, there's nearly a touch. There was a little bit of paint swapping there between the 2. This is the battle for P7. This could allow Michael Michaud to get away into Brooklands. Hassan still stays ahead, but Boivin is still pressurising the number 223 Bentley. Oh, this is absolutely epic. 20 minutes in, folks. 20 minutes in, folks. We've still got another 2/3 to go. Hold on to your hats. The roller coaster has only just gotten started as Boivin looking towards the inside. Do not try and fling it up the inside of Copse Corner. You can overtake there. I've seen it done before here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Boivin was very close to doing it. Now into Maggots. Hard on the power. They're going to be going through this at about 235 kilometers an hour at 5th gear, going down 1 gear in towards Beckett's. Now accelerating as they'll come out of Chapel Curve, and now we'll see how much of a slingshot Jonathan Boivin gets on Kevin Hassan on this particular occasion. Michaud has started to pull away. There is a little bit of a gap between the 497 BMW and the 223 Bentley. Boivin is getting ever closer as they come out of Stoke Corner. Can he launch it up the inside of the Bentley going in to through Vale and into Club Corner? He's gone for the move. He's got it, and he's completed it. Well done to Jonathan Boivin. Magnifique, monsieur.
Those drivers have balls, and those drivers have skills. Definitely.
You know what? I love your sense of honesty there, David. Absolutely brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. As we would say in the United Kingdom, Jonathan Boivin had the stones, and he definitely used them right there and then to get that move done on Kevin Hassan. It was an absolute textbook one. So let's see if he can now try and put the frighteners on the 497 that was battling with him for quite a few laps. Michael Michaud, the 497. But also, let's see if we can have a look at the battle between 3rd and 4th overall, because I've noticed that Guillaume Mador has started closing in on David Boulanger for 3rd place. The gap now is just over 5.5 tenths of a second between the pair. But Boivin with Michaud does a brilliant move. Outright, Hassan is now coming into pit lane. Outright, I've just had an update from our good friend Danny Cavalier. 2nd lap he hit a wall, and then after he went to go in to pit and repair. He went too fast into the pit lane, got the stop go 30, and after that he missed a turn and hit a curb hard and went into the grass. And he said, "I just decided to stop doing anything else before I hit somebody." Ha ha ha. At least we admire your honesty, Mr. Valier. So, but in other words, that really changes things on how things are going to work out for him in the Silver Championship, going to the final round at Indianapolis.
Actually, Alex, if you have the chance one day, just come in Quebec during the summertime, and you'll have the chance to get a ride inside Danik's car, the real car. He owns a Subaru STI, the wagon model, and he is a really good driver, excellent driver.
At least the good thing is on a simulator like this, he doesn't have to worry about repair invoices, so that's a good thing.
You're right.
But yep, this is the battle for P3. David Boulanger versus Guillaume Mador. Mador has had a couple of dramas over the course of the season, but the Audi looking very, very strong here. And what's even more impressive, Marc-Antoine Landry has extended his lead over Patrick Fournier to just over 3.2 seconds. And still the battle goes on. Gabriel Lafreniere has got past Michael Formator, and that is coming out of Aintree as they head down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands. But yeah, this two great battles going on here in front of our very eyes. Just great to see how these drivers are doing so far here, David. 24 minutes completed, just under 36 to go. And Kevin Racine and Adrien Bourdon are the only two drivers in the top 22 that have made their mandatory single pit stop. There's no pit stop window here, folks. They can decide at what point. And one of the good things about this, David, is that we will see different strategies where people will fuel the car right to the brim. As I've just seen one of the Lexuses go in. That might be one of the Baudrys that has just gone in to serve their pit stop. That's Max Baudry in the number 162 in the silver class. I think some of the drivers will have gone for a very, very aggressive long first stint with the fuel, wouldn't you say?
I'm surprised to see that kind of strategy. Usually we see the drivers that are waiting as long as they can to go into pit. So usually within 2-3 laps to go, they will pit in. But seeing some drivers to go inside the pits during the first half of the race, I'm surprised to see this strategy. It might pay out in the end, but for now, I'm surprised.
Well, we've got a great battle on our hands. This is for P2 in the silver class. Jeremy Schneider versus Jean-François Bilodeau in the number 7 Audi, who's got Jonathan Baudry trying to look up the inside. That's going through into Abbey. So that's second, third and fourth in class. So number 67 McLaren versus the number 7 Audi and the number 163 Lexus as they go through into Village, now into the tight left-hander, first gear here at the loop before they start applying the power. Better getaway there by Jeremy Schneider in comparison with Jean-François Bilodeau from the 3P Virtual Racing crew in the number 7. But also, I spy just behind them, Johan Morsi in the 194 Porsche is closing in. So this quartet of drivers battling over what will be second in class at the moment. But Adrien Bourdon is steadily making some progress up the field. The next person on his list will be Jean-Luc Marchand, but it will not be for position in terms of the pro classification because Marchand is leading the silver class. So again, this round just providing a lot of drama. We're 3.5 minutes away from half time at the moment. We'll give you a little bit of a roundup of the top 5 drivers. Well, actually, let's do that now. So at the moment, Marc-Antoine Landry has a 3.8 second lead over Patrick Fournier with David Boulanger. So there's your race leader from Zealous Motorsports and the 711 Lamborghini Huracan GT3. Then next up, there is Patrick Fournier. That's getting closer to now 4 seconds of a race lead. Then just behind you've got the two battling away for third position. Overall, that's David Boulanger and Guillaume Mador. And in the distance, not too far behind, about 1.6 seconds. That could be less when they next break the timing beam. That is going to be Laurence Toubé. So that's your top 5 in the pro class. And in the silver class, it's Mathieu Prudhomme in the 166 McLaren. Currently running P8 overall. Jeremy Schneider is in 12th position overall, but second in the pro class. Jean-François Bilodeau, Jonathan Baudry and Johan Morsi ran out your top 5 in the silver class. But again, just some great battles up and down the field here, David, and this one is no exception because Mador is putting the pressure on Boulanger.
only 3/10 of a second between those two drivers, and we know that Bélanger is a very capable driver, as well as Mador. So that's going to be an interesting battle. If Mador can close the gap between those two drivers, it's going to be an interesting lap.
Yes, it is indeed. The gap was 4/10 as they power their way through Copse Corner. And at the moment, our race leader has, well, we're now on to our 15th lap of racing. We're 1 minute and 45 seconds away from the halfway point. Jonathan Boivin is going to do his level best. He's now over a 1.5 seconds behind Michael Michaud, who has cantered away into the distance, but the number 497 BMW M4 GT3 is about 8.9 seconds behind the driver in 5th position, Laurence Dubé, who is in the number 70 Test Racing Ferrari, who's also trying to close on in on these two, battling away on your screens at home. Guillaume Mador from EGT Motorsports, with David Boulanger running for SOP. Out of Club Corner they go once again. The Audi trying to get the better of the Bentley in front. Laurence Dubé running a little bit wide coming out of Club Corner. But just to hear these engines roar through corners like Abbey, it just sounds fantastic, doesn't it? That's another thing we love.
Actually, that's one of the debate that we see going around about the F1, because the actual F1 engines, they are not as loud as they used to be in the past, and we see a lot of discussion around that. Should they bring some of the older technologies, or more cylinders or pistons to bring some noise on the F1? And on one side, we do have people that are mentioning that. That's fine like this. It helps the sport to not be so loud. But on the other side, we have the amateurs of the F1 that are saying, hey, that's the essence of the sport. The sound goes with it. So you need to bring that back. So that's a really good discussion to have. But we have to admit, the sound that those cars are doing right now tonight, and the old F1 engines, that is amazing.
Oh, bit of a run wide there from Jean-François Bilodeau. This could give Jonathan Boutry the opportunity he needs to get through. They come out of Woodcote nearly side by side. Boutry's lining it up for Copse Corner. Here we go, threading the eye of the needle. The 163 goes through. That was a bit of a mistake there from Jean-François Bilodeau. And now there's Johan Morancy, who's looking to go. Do not try and go through up the inside of Maggots. You'll definitely tempting fate there. A big thanks to Danny Quellet, who's just told me that Mr. Gagnon has just retired. Mathieu Gagnon in the number 10 Mercedes, the only Mercedes on the grid. No Steve Santos this evening. But yeah, I mean, Boutry just pounced when the opportunity presented itself. Jean-Luc Marchand is now catching up with Serge Martin in the number 27. Now this is for position. This is going to be for 6th in the class, and Christian Tubé.
Look at that for Tubé.
Oh dear, and that's at one of the fastest points on the circuit.
And it's going to be a costly mistake for him.
Yeah. Yeah, that was through one of the fastest parts of the circuit. Johan Morancy now closing in on Jean-François Bilodeau in the number 7 Audi. This is for 4th place in the silver class. But still, Jonathan Boutry has not gotten away. But let's see how much traction the Porsche has in comparison with the Audi. Both were sister brands underneath the group, the Volkswagen group, but Porsche no longer. But that Porsche looking very, very planted in the hands of Johan Morancy from Steakhouse Racing, the 194. They come through into Luffield. Tighter on the apex from the Porsche. Runs a little bit wider coming into Woodcote. Let's see how close Morancy gets towards the wall. Not close enough, unlike what we saw a little bit earlier on. But still some great battles here. We are more than over the halfway point. And Serge Martin has just decided to pit. Merci getting ever so close to Bilodeau, going through into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. I think the front bumper of the Porsche nearly had a slight nibble at the back bumper of Bilodeau's Audi, but on that particular occasion the 194 Porsche was very wise and decided not to do that, because here's going to be the run of momentum coming out of Chapel Curve, down the hanger straight into Stowe Corner. Morancy is pulling to the inside, and the 194, will it get through on the number 7 Audi through into Stowe Corner? Yes, for the moment. But Bilodeau is going to fight back, runs a little bit wide, and they're going to go through into Vale, but Morancy might have the move done in towards Club Corner now. Bilodeau to the inside, Morancy to the outside, gets the apex from the next corner, and neatly defends there from Bilodeau. So Bilodeau down to 5th place in the silver class. Great work by Morancy to get that job done. So we're going to have a replay.
Yeah.
You take it away here, David.
Doublé. Sorry, come again?
Yeah, if you take it, well, I'll take us through it. It was through Maggots and Beckett's, and just loses the back end.
Oh, that's not good for the tires. Look at that.
No.
Sideways slide.
Bit of a flat, might have a slight, hopefully it doesn't have too much vibration through the force back on the force feedback on the direct drive, but still, Belanger and Madol, they're definitely, they're like two little children fighting for the last swing of the playground, aren't they? That they just can't decide. Like David's like going, well, Guillaume, you're going to have to get past me. Guillaume's like saying, well, I'm going to make you work for it.
Love it. So 25 minutes remaining to this 60 minutes race. We're going to start seeing more and more drivers going into the pits for the mandatory stop. There is one mandatory stop during this race, so we'll see more of that. You can see the indicator on the left part of the screen. When a driver turns green, it means that this driver has stopped. So it's not the case for most of the drivers. Actually, the 16 first drivers has not stopped so far. So the first one in the list is Bourdon. As you can see, there is a green indicator, which means that the mandatory stop is done.
Oh, hang on. Stéphane Thibodeau has just got a stop-go 30 for speeding in the pit lane, I believe.
No way.
Oh, dear.
So he's now in the 20th position, so it's going to be bad.
Oh, that's going to put him right down the back end of the field, probably put him down into last place. I mean, that's one of the things that drivers don't want to do. And especially when they have to be very, very precise, don't they, David, when they have to enter pit lane?
But don't they use the speed limiter in the pit lane?
They have to brake and then hit the speed limiter. But I have seen it before where people have just got a bit too hot into the pits, and then I've also seen it where people have exited pit lane and forgot to put the limiter on. But now we've got this we've got this nice little fight back through the field from Adrien Bourdon, now up into 17th,
which is still holding the fastest lap tonight.
Yes, he has got the fastest lap, 1 minute 58.890, as he's going to fire it around the out. Oh, of all places, Copse Corner.
Wow.
I think Morancy just sort of lifted off because he knew that Bourdon was coming, but look who he's got behind. He's got Jean-Luc Marchand closing in, who's also having a good recovery drive from the earlier drama earlier on with Sébastien Lacasse, who's all the way down in 21st position, and Jean-Luc Marchand yet to pit. So we got all of the top 15 yet to pit. Bourdon is the highest classified driver that has done their pit stop. Kevin Racine has also done his pit stop and is about 4.8 seconds behind François Lapointe in the 448 Honda. So yeah, there's been some unusual strategy calls here tonight, especially from these two Bentleys, from the 54 and the 223.
Agreed. We'll see how it turns out, but You never know. Actually, I've seen some strange strategies in the past that did pay out. So we'll see at the end. Like we see, it's not done until it's done. So.
As they say, to finish first you must finish. And David Boulanger and Guillaume Mador still battling away over that third position as they come across the line again. We're on to our 20th lap of this 3.661 mile circuit, and Mador, well, hang on, that's Fournier just up ahead. Have these two been working together? I'm just having a look at the lap times. Guillaume Mador last time 2 minutes .005, Boulanger 2 minute .442, Fournier 2 minutes .802, and the gap now between Landry and Fournier is 5.5 seconds. That's incredible how ever so slightly over the course of each lap. I mean, Landry last time was over, well, the best part of nearly 0.3 of a second quicker than Fournier, then nearly a half a tenth quicker in sector 2, and then sector 3 he was over a tenth and a half quicker. So Landry has got he's unlocked some pace in that Lamborghini, and no one's had an answer for it.
And what's the reason? Do you have an idea? Is it the setup? Is it the tire pressures? What can he do that no one else is able to reproduce tonight?
Maybe he's just found something in that car that's really worked. I mean, the good thing is with that naturally aspirated V10, it's got the power, especially on the straights. And I think whether he's managed to find that nice compromise between handling and performance in terms of being able to exit out of the corners nice and tightly. Yeah. We're going to see that now coming out of Luffield and Woodcote as he's going to complete the 20th lap. And folks, 40 minutes are completed. We've got 20 to go, and still the top 14 drivers overall. Leader at the moment in both respective classes, this man here, Marc-Antoine Landry in the 711 Zealous Motorsports Lamborghini, and Mathieu Prudhomme, who, get this folks, is less than a second behind Jonathan Boivin, and there is the 166.
You were mentioning about the power of the Lamborghini, and I think in this particular circuit, Silverstone, you have plenty of straight lines or almost straight lines that will definitely help this particular car. So I think it's a good mix tonight to have this car on this track. You still yet to drive it, but it seems that for Landry tonight it's working very well.
Yep, Morsi now being hounded by Jean-Luc Marchand as they go through into Copse Corner once again. Jeremy Schneider has opted to pit with 19 minutes to go. Jean-Luc Marchand looking to the inside now. That's going through into Maggots, and he's got the move done. Nicely timed there by Jean-Luc Marchand to get through on Johan Morsi. That was through Maggots. That's not an easy move to do either.
One interesting fact is that we do have a silver driver in the eighth position tonight, in front of some of the pro drivers. I like to see that. It means that the level of the drivers is increasing as we go forward during the season. I really like to see that. And as we look down the standing, we can see that some of the drivers are doing that. It's the case for Prudhomme in 8th position, but also for Baudry and Bilodeau in 12th and 13th position. So I like to see that. That's a really good sign.
Yeah, Bourdon is making his way through the field, and it won't be long before he gets past the number 7. Well, as I say that, he's just got past Jean-François Bilodeau in the number 7 Audi. So Bourdon might be on a strategy that could really help him, how far up the order he can be before the top 12 that are in front of him have yet to do their mandatory pit stops. Where is this going to bring him out of the equation? If this gets him into the sharper end of the field, I think we could have another different dynamic coming our way as Mordaunt is just, well, Mador and Boulanger are just coming across some back marker traffic, and one of which, that I'm not too sure who that was. That was not Prudhomme that they went past. That'll probably be Gilles Parent, that's currently sitting in 24th overall behind General de Guise, and Mathieu Prudhomme go. Well,
Very wide. That's a strange line.
yeah, that was a very strange line. He went round the outside, and that was going through Stowe Corner on Jonathan Boivin. So imagine that. Mathieu Prudhomme trying to get a moved on Jonathan Boivin, and we'll know that the number 99 Honda has got 30 kilos of ballast. But still to be at this sharper end of the field, especially being a silver driver, well, that just begs the question, is Prudhomme going to be moved up the ranks for Season 5 whenever that gets confirmed, or the next season of the EGT3 Challenge? But still, to hustle along Boivin in a car such as the McLaren, that's a pretty impressive sight, wouldn't you say, David?
Actually, I do agree, but one thing that I like about this particular championship is that you can compare not only the drivers, but the drivers with some different cars, which adds a level of complexity, because when you look at the Cup Series, everyone is driving the same car, which is not the case tonight. And it adds some kind of, let's say, spice to this competition, because yes, you can be excellent on one particular track, but it all depends on the car settings as well. And we all know that all cars are not made equal. So if you go to another track, then you get different results. So that's quite interesting to see that. And when you add the ballast as well, well, it gives us the kind of show that we have tonight between Boivin and Prudhomme. One is driving a Honda, and the other one is driving a McLaren. And those two cars are definitely not behaving the same on this track. So that gives us a really interesting show.
I think also the interesting thing is that just been having a look at the differential between current silver leader Mathieu Prudhomme and Jeremy Schneider. The gap between them is not as small, well, not as large as a lot of people might think, because Schneider is running in the 2-minute 1.2s, Prudhomme running in the 2-minute 1.5s, and the gap between them is around about 44 seconds. So Prudhomme, if he wants to win this, has got to be absolutely 100% perfect on the pit stop. So making sure you slow down, hit the pit limiter in time, get your pit stop done, take on a litre or two of fuel, get out of the pits, not speed in the pit lane, and not get yourself a stop go 30. I think the race tonight is between, in terms of the silver class races, Mathieu Prudhomme and Jeremy Schneider. That's 100% what I'm looking at right now.
We'll see how it turns out. One of them did pit already, which is not the case for Prudhomme, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yep,
You mentioned earlier about Bourdon having a different strategy, but he did pit already, and he's the first one. When we look at the standing right now, he is the first one out of the 14 first drivers who already pit. So I'm really interested to see where he will end up in the standing, considering that he does not have to stop. So it's going to pay off later tonight.
Yeah. Gabriel Lafreniere is now also in the pits as well, the number 16 Bentley, serving his pit stop. A little bit untidy there for Boulanger going through into Club Corner, as both he and Guillaume Ledon.
Talking about Lafreniere, you mentioned earlier tonight that he's a newcomer to this championship tonight. I don't know if you've seen his setup to race with us. But he has some physical disability, and he is driving both the pedals and the and the wheel with both hands. So that's quite impressive to see that. Maybe later in the season, actually, we have one more event. It might be interesting to ask him to bring the camera or the video of how he's driving that. We've been doing that in the other series, and that's quite interesting to see that, because when it's time to, brake and accelerate and
Yep.
turn the wheel at the same time, he's doing that with both hands. So that's quite impressive.
Yeah, there are teams in the UK, such as Team Brit, who have been running in British GT in the GT4 class with Bobby Trundley, who's autistic, and also Aaron Morgan, who is a paraplegic. So,
Wow.
so disability.
How do they
cost is-
manage to do all of that? Are they using both hands as well, or do they have any other mechanism?
They do have specialist equipment that have been built in to adapt into the steering hub. So to hear about Gabriel's story like that just goes to show that it does. Sim racing is for everybody. As we go back on board with Guillaume Mador this time, still trying to get past David Boulanger for that third place. The EGT Motorsport Audi R8 LMS not able to get through so far. And now look who's behind them. Lawrence Dubé. I think the Jaws music is ringing in my ears at the moment, David. It's like da 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 da. And I'm just waiting for Lawrence Dubé to spring a surprise on one of these guys, because now we see him in shot as they come through into Abbey. Dubé's just been watching what's going on because they were fighting the two in front. Dubé sees a window of opportunity here, and look how late Dubé was on the brakes. He's going to go for the move up the inside, and he touches with Mador there. A little bit of paint rubbing, a little bit of panel bashing.
It sounds like penalty for me.
I would say that if he should really let Guillaume Mador get... I think he did go a little bit late into that, but if he lets him back past, it would be the sensible thing to do. But he's still hanging on. They're going to go through into Brooklands, and now Dubé has got past on Mador. I think it was just a case that Dubé might have not, I wouldn't have said the words frustrated, but I think was just getting a little bit impatient and decided, well, here's my chance, I'm going to send it, here we go.
So what was it? 3 cars battle is now a 2 cars battle. The other one is going away.
Yeah, Mador's just lost. Well, it's getting a bit too close now, because that was a bit of a mistake there from Dubé going through out of Maggots. And now Mador is going to look towards... don't try and do that through Chapel. They are side by side down the hangar straight. Who's going to get the run to Stoke Corner? Dubé versus Mador going down the hangar straight into Stoke Corner with 9 minutes and 20 still to go. Jonathan Baudry goes into pit lane, and Mador gets the position back from Dubé, but Dubé's not done yet. He's trying to look to the outside. Mador's just keeping the door closed as they go down through Vale into Club Corner. Mador still keeps it, and he gets a little bit of...
bumps the other one.
I think there's a little bit of net code there as well, possibly, because the car from Mador just leaped ahead ever so slightly, but you can just see how close they are. They're going to go into Abbey now. Dubé's going to look up the inside. Is he going to keep it pinned? He still is, and they touch, and Dubé and Mador spin. Oh, 2 wrongs do not make a right.
And they were fighting for the 3rd and the 4th place, so that's going to be a really costly mistake from those drivers.
Well, it's
with 8 minutes to go, that's definitely not the right time to do that kind of mistake.
And what they now need to do is they need to now get into the pits. That's what they need to do now. But they were... I was just going to say, well, there's Jonathan Boivin, because Michael Michaud's now up into 4th place. So through that touch, Mador and Dubé have lost out big time. And that was just, I think it was just a case that no one was going to give an inch, no one was going to take a mile. They both had the same they had the same goal, and they both paid the price for... I think it was just a case of just desperation, just thinking, well, I need to get past. No, I need to get past. You don't do those kind of moves in this late stage of the race, because it costs you big time. And Dubé now decides to get into the pit lane, and that releases Boivin.
And talking about Boivin, I think he is the winner of this collision between the two drivers, because there was a gap between those drivers and Boivin, and now Boivin is going away with free time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Formato's now in the pits as well in the number 200, so pit stops are coming in. Gabriel Lafreniere is closing in on the car in front. That is Kevin Racine, who is also been steadily making his way up the order. So, oh, Gibet's got to stop go 30, speeding in the pit lane. Insult to injury right there. I have no words, David. I have no words.
I have no words either. When things go bad, they go bad for real.
And unfortunately for Laurence Dubé, lightning has struck twice in two respective incidents. The contact with Guillaume Mador and then the stop go 30 in the pit lane.
Go get the lottery ticket.
Hopefully you get your numbers up when the draw's made.
Maybe the lightning will strike a third time.
Well, they do say that third time's a charm, don't they? Lafreniere is getting very, very close here to Kevin Racine on this particular occasion, but the 2-2-3, so it's Bentley v Bentley. Lafreniere looking up the inside. Is he going to go late on the brakes? Excuse me. Very close indeed, but Racine still keeps ahead. So a great fight between two.
He's going very wide here.
Oh, Racine's having to sternly defend into Abbey.
Look at that, Bentley against Bentley.
Yeah, that's too big. It's like Tyson Fury getting back in the boxing ring and going up against Deontay Wilder. Into the loop now. Lafreniere still trying to push the envelope. All right, Michaud and Prudhomme. Yeah, we've got some more pit stops coming though. So Michaud and Prudhomme are in the pit lane. So now I'm going to click on to
nose to nose.
That's still a bit too close. But has Lafreniere done it? Yeah. Oh. Racine got a bit too close for comfort there, through into Brooklands, and now he's lost the place to Gabriel Lafreniere. Fantastic job by the number 16 Bentley, just to keep it on the black stuff, and Racine now flashing the headlights. It's like saying, what on earth was that? No, I got through, sorry. So I'm just going to keep an eye on where Jeremy Schneider is at the moment. So
look at Landry, 6 seconds ahead of everyone else. That's amazing.
Yeah, Landry's been untouchable. Really,
we used to say that about Boivin, and now it's Landry who's doing that tonight. I think it's an amazing thing that a lot of drivers have this their moment to shine. And tonight it's Landry's night for sure.
Oh, definitely, 100% agree, and it's about time really for him. Landry now pulls into the pits with 4 minutes to go, and that will be on the completion of the 28th lap of racing. So this will give Fournier the lead. Bourdon now up into 7th position and climbing forward. So he's got the likes of Fournier, Boulanger, Mador, Boivin, Alary. So Bourdon has really put himself, with that earlier pit stop, into some form of really, really stupendous contention for tonight's race. And now Landry exiting pit lane, got to make it nice and neat and tidy, no stop go 30s as Bourdon comes out, as Mador and Boivin and Alary have all pitted. Bourdon comes through, Copse Corner, he's not that far behind, that's going to probably more than likely promote him to 4th place. Well, that'll effectively be a net second for Adrien Bourdon, I believe, because Fournier and Boulanger have yet to pit. I would imagine they're going to pit on the next lap, but what a run from Adrien Bourdon here.
Less than 3 minutes to go to this 60-minute race. Those drivers who have not pitted in yet, they are going to do that in a few minutes. Actually, I should say few seconds. It's not really a choice here. They have to pit in during this lap. Otherwise, it will not be valid.
They'll get a post-race penalty. 130 seconds, I think, normally is the de facto.
Wow.
As
We
Jean-Luc
have to
Marchand
go.
has got a penalty. Stop go 30 for the number 14. The points
No
leader
way.
strikes trouble in the final few seconds of the race. It's all going so well for Jean-Luc Marchand despite the incident with Sébastien Lacasse. But there is Jonathan Baudry trying to
And
battle
Jean-Luc
away.
Marchand is leading the silver category with only 1 point, so that's going to be a costly mistake for him tonight. Actually, it might cost him a position on the podium on the driver's standing.
Yep, as Fournier and Boulanger now pit. So 1 minute and 45 seconds still remain. Landry is going to overtake the pair of them, and I think so will Adrien Bourdon, because we're waiting to where it's got the orange with the number 1 on it when they extinguish. So Fournier about to exit pit lane. It's going to be close. But Bourdon will be up to full speed. So.
And Landry is still in first position, followed by Fournier by 4.1 seconds.
Yeah.
And then Bourdon is third with 2.4 seconds behind.
Nice call there by Adrien Bourdon to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the strategy he pulled out of the bag was brilliant, and Johan Mohasi will be the last driver to pit from the entire field as the timer is coming down to the last 35 seconds of round 5.
I have to admit that I had some doubt about Adrien Bourdon's strategy tonight, but he proved me wrong, and that's really a good thing for him. Third position right now. Pretty good.
Oh yes, definitely. Well, Jean-Luc Marchand now having the walk of shame is in trundling down the pit lane and serving a stop go 30 as we're down to the final 10 seconds. There is your race leader, and once the timer hits 0, well, the last 2 races it has been a triumph for Jonathan Boivin, but this driver here, Marc-Antoine Landry, is literally into Brooklands for the final time. Then it's going to be Luffield and Woodcote. And after a 20-minute qualifying session, a 60-minute race, Marc-Antoine Landry becomes a new race winner here, and the EGT3 challenge here at the home of British Motorsport as he powers out of the final corner and wins round 5 here at Silverstone. A dominant display by Marc-Antoine Landry, and also great work by Patrick Fournier to finish in second position. So the top 2 finishing as they were. Adrien Bourdon having the best strategy call, pitting early and undercutting plenty of the field. David Boulanger takes 4th, but it's going to be Mathieu Prudhomme who will triumph in the silver class here. And what's more, he finishes in 7th overall, ahead of Jonathan Boivin, the defending champion, who will have to go into the final round but won't have to worry about any ballast. Carl Allery takes 9th, ahead of Gabriel Lafreniere in 10th position. Michaud and Mador round out the top 6. Jeremy Schneider will take another podium ahead of Jonathan Baudry in the 163 Lexus, as they both finish quite closely behind Michael Formato in the number 200. But, well, what can you say about Marc-Antoine Landry there, David? Absolutely dominant.
He was flying tonight. We've seen that at some point during the race. He had like 6 seconds advance on everyone else.
We've got a whole gaggle of cars here. We've got Sébastien Lacasse, Jean-Luc Marchand, Gilles Parent. I think François Lebrun is a little bit further up ahead of this battle. You've also got General de Guise just there. Marchand looking up the inside. So just waiting for the last few cars to make their way through. Celui Lacasse in 20th, Baron, and Marchand is going to have to fight for the title next time out at Indianapolis, as they all hurtle their way at full throttle out of Woodcote and across the line to finish the race here at Silverstone. Well, after the 60-minute race, we're going to be right back after these messages.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Well, that was one hell of a race, David. Absolutely
It was.
brilliant.
At some point, I don't know if you remember, but some of the drivers, they were running three. I can't remember who it was, but they were running three and then almost bumping each other and playing. I think it was Madar and Michaud.
Yeah,
Madar and Michaud at some point, and then he took over the first place, actually the first place out of those three drivers. What an amazing race tonight. Also at the end, I think I don't like to say that, but let's say it again. The biggest loser tonight, I think, is Jean-Luc Marchand, because he was on the podium on the silver category, and then he ends up at the end of the race with a stop and go of 30 seconds. So I think that's really unfortunate for him tonight. But what a driving lesson we got from Landry tonight. 6 again ahead of everyone, and then he flies to the finish line and get that victory tonight. So what a good driving lesson from him tonight.
Well, we're going to take you through some of the highlights. I mean, when we got things going here at Silverstone, you know, Laurence Dubé and David Boulanger, and then it was 3 wide behind Mador, Bourdon and Boivin. Boivin got a little bit of a touch. He had a bit of a scare. He managed to save it and pointed it in the right direction, which was absolutely brilliant. I mean, credit to Jonathan Boivin to keeping it pinned on the road. I mean, he would eventually finish P8 overall, but Landry and also Fournier were starting to pull away. Boulanger was keeping in close check with them. Dubé and Mador were battling away too. They were battling away for 4th and 5th position in the early stages. Kevin Racine was also looking pretty good in the whole thing of it. But for those wondering, when is the next round? It's Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Brickyard. Join us November 22nd for the Season 4 EGT3 Challenge finale. David, it's been a pleasure working alongside you for the very first time. It's been a hell of a race tonight, hasn't it?
Of course. Like you mentioned, a lot of action tonight, a lot of brilliant strategy. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, some of them, like Bourdon, they proved me wrong. Actually, I thought that he had to wait until the end of the race to pit, and he decided to pit much earlier than I would have, and he proved me wrong. Actually, he pulled out the 3rd place tonight, which is amazing. And like you mentioned, what a big save at the beginning of the race by Boivin. That was an amazing save, and he did manage to get an 8th position, I think, tonight with the 30 kilogram ballast. That's an amazing performance from him. And we did not talk about Fournier, but hey, he managed to get a 2nd position tonight. He was not really into the action like we've seen on a mid-pack or with Michaud, Madar, and Prudhomme, but still an amazing performance to keep the pace and then be able to keep the 2nd position tonight. Wow, that's a good driving. So really a good race tonight, and I can't wait to see the next one on the 22nd. And I like to mention it's going to be in the Indianapolis. So really a good show tonight.
Yeah, don't forget you can join David and Guy Lavoie with regards to continuing coverage of the ETCR, the ETCX Sprint, and also the Porsche Carrera Cup Quebec very, very soon here. And we'll see you very soon. So, merci mesdames et messieurs, et bonne nuit, et à la prochaine.
Red Bull gives you wings.